Good afternoon. I'm British, but I've lived here in Krakow for 23 years, so for me, Krakow is more... I've lived longer in Krakow than anywhere else in the United Kingdom, than anywhere else in the world, in fact. So what I'm going to do in this talk is talk a little bit about what's good and what's bad in the Krakow startup support ecosystem, and make some recommendations for change. When I first came to Poland in 1991, I was trying to promote entrepreneurship in Polish schools, and I very often, and universities, and I very often heard that, oh, people are too young, and I don't like hearing things I disagree with, so I started doing projects in different age groups, including the youngest ever company visit. On the bottom right-hand corner, when I was president for the firm PMR, we had 3- and 4-year-olds visiting the company. And I think one of the things that we certainly can do is consider the idea that the Polish education system doesn't support entrepreneurship nearly enough. This is from a preschool in Krakow. I remember that boy in the middle with the red shirt, Kuba. I was doing a presentation in Polish. Does everyone here speak Polish? Czy wszyscy tutaj mówią po... Everyone speaks Polish? Wszyscy mówią po polsku? Ręce do góry, proszę. Okay, so I said to it was quite stressful because this was a few years ago, but I was doing a presentation to 250 kids in Polish, and the dyrektor podstawówka miał dużo wątpliwości, so she was quite doubtful. So I said, okay, czy ktoś obecny wie, co to znaczy firma? Does anyone know what a business is? And that kid Kuba put his hand up and said, tak, firma to jest jakieś miejsce, gdzie sprzedajecie jakiś produkt albo usługę na o wiele wyższe ceny niż koszty zrobienia tego produktu i usługi. Ważne, żeby klienci był bardzo zadowolony. I dyrektor szkoły patrzył na duże oczy, because this guy gave like a textbook definition of what a business is. Again, just taking kids in, the image of business in Poland is like business is about guys in suits, in tall buildings in Warsaw, and it's really important to get across to young people that business people, a normal business can be fun. It's also, if you're doing this, by the way, how many people here think that we need to do more to promote enterprise among young people in Poland? Okay. Okay, so the people who didn't put their hand up, why do you think that? For example, you didn't put your hand up. Okay, okay. So for me, it's a kind of patriotic duty. If Poland is going to survive as a country, we need to be prosperous. The Ukrainians can't afford to buy the tanks to resist the Russians. Economic prosperity is a matter of national survival. The Japanese were conquered by the Americans, Admiral Perry and his gunships in 1853, because they didn't have the technology to resist the Americans. To be an independent country, Poland needs to be prosperous. Okay, so in terms of what, and I believe in personal responsibility. These are some of the things I've done. I've been on the committee for Światowe Przedsiębiorczości. I'm a partner of Studencki Forum Business Center Club. I help support Hive. I do the open coffee meetings. I do lots of mentoring, the Inspired by Astia group. The reason I'm telling you this is that, you know, I'm a busy guy. I've got 9 businesses. I've got 3 non-profits. But everyone, if you think it's important, can find the time to promote entrepreneurship. It's a personal responsibility. And I do this because I believe in it, not because I get paid to do it. Also, it's very important, if you're thinking about what you can do, to do projects that are low cost or no cost. If you need 100,000 zloty from the Urząd Marszałkowski, that means you can't replicate. You can do it once, but the next time you want to do it, it's going to stop dead because you need too much money. So I'm keen on getting low-cost or no-cost projects promoting entrepreneurship. In terms of what's good and bad about Krakow, on the left there, I've got what's good. I think that we're developing the soft linkages. For example, Google for Entrepreneurs Krakow does events in Hubraum. Okay, Hubraum is T-Mobile, it's Deutsche Telekom. At the Hive events, there are community announcements. At the Crackspot events, you can stand up and promote your other events. It's completely unusual for Poland to have people allowing their competitors to work together. So we've done a good job of building up soft linkages and cooperation and trust. Does everyone here speak Polish? Czy wszyscy mówią po polsku? Pytałem raz, but is there anyone who doesn't speak Polish? You, okay. So, oh, hi, by the way. When I came to Poland in 1991, and I didn't speak Polish, I kept on hearing nigdy nie wolno nikogo ufać. The three N's. Don't trust anyone. Everyone's babcia. Nigdy nie wolno nikogo ufać. Don't trust anyone. And I was thinking, this is bad. What's really good in Krakow is that we've got through this kind of trust barrier, and that's great. And I think it's because Polish people behave better when there are foreigners around. It's like, you know, if there's a foreigner in the room, it raises the game. But now people have started trusting each other. It's hard to go back. So that's really good. But what's bad is there's a lack of capital. We're on a small scale. Google for Entrepreneurs, which provides this great space in the Rynek, is basically moving to Warsaw. And, you know, that's going to be a gap. The support infrastructure, the lawyers, the bankers, there are very few bankers in Krakow who provide support to startups and to business, and there are very few law firms which will work for free in return for equity. And, you know, there's also this feeling that we're making progress. Yes, we're making progress, but there are lots of other cities that are making progress. We are not alone. If we think it's much better than it was, that's true. Okay, if we think we're doing better than Riga or Dublin or Budapest or Prague or Gdynia, I don't know, but we have to really move forward if we want to be successful. So, does anyone want to add to that list, by the way? Can anyone tell me something else that's good or bad about Krakow? I've been told I left some things out, so oh, hi, by the way. I feel like I know 40%. It's like my friends have come to hear me, which is... what else is good about Krakow? What does Wrocław think?
Well, you have a good ecosystem. You have a lot of people who will help, will offer their support and wisdom, and will give without expecting them back.
Okay. I think what's nice also is we've got two world-class, world-famous companies here. Probably there are more, because a lot of the successful people in business in Krakow don't talk about it. You know, they think it's much better to carry on making money before everyone else figures out how they're making money. But we have Base and we have Estimote, and so that's actually quite an advantage. That, for example, Kubek Szyk, the founder of Estimote, was invited to go to New York to meet the president of the Republic of Poland on a state visit, and he was too busy. And I think it's quite nice that Kuba was too busy, not the president. And I think it's quite nice that we've got these world famous. We have our success stories in Krakow, and that's really, really good. But I think what I'd say is that it's not enough. And some of the problems we've got here are problems that we really can't fix. I'm 48 years old, but many of you are a bit younger. In 1989, there was a hyperinflation that wiped out everyone's savings. Unless you had dollars, your savings were wiped out by 2,000% inflation. So in most of the countries in Europe, in America, in Canada, in Japan, there's never been a hyperinflation since the Second World War, which means there are deep pools of capital. A middle-class person in the UK or Germany or Belgium or Ireland can find 50 or 100,000 euros to invest. You have to be really rich in Poland because, as you know, the salaries here are low. If the salaries are low, that means that the savings are low. And the other thing is obvious. You know, we need to invest in our infrastructure. I don't want to be critical, but the roads in Poland aren't quite as good as the roads in, say, Germany. We have some way to go. The parks are not quite as tidy. So, you know, there's this huge pull of more important things than investing in startups in Poland. So we're not going to get there quickly. That's an unfixable problem. So there's less capital available for startups locally, and that's a fact. And so my proposal is that we need to think about what we can do differently. Okay, so this is my 10-point list. How many people speak Latin here? Okay, a little bit. I don't believe you, Dermot. You're lying. Okay. Esse quam videre is my family motto, and it means to be is more important than to seem. Basically, actions speak louder than words. What you do is more important than what you say or how it looks or in the Bugsy Malone film in which Jodie Foster made her breakthrough, you're going to be remembered by the things that you say and do. Actions speak louder than words. It's cool that we've got the OMG flash hashtag. It's great that everyone says it's awesome in Krakow, but what really matters is what we do. So I would, probably very unpopular, don't worry about the PR budget. It doesn't matter to have huge adverts at the airport saying Krakow is awesome. Maybe welcome to Krakow, yes, but what we need to do is think about what we can actually do to make things different. So one thing is the schools, okay? How many people here went to school in Poland? Okay. How many of you have been back to your school to promote entrepreneurship? Good. What's your name? Arthur. So can we have a round of applause for Arthur? Okay. So the school I went to in England, Winchester College, is 630 years old. And on the 1st of November 2013, so that's 630 years after the day it was founded, we had our first meeting of the Entrepreneurship Club, okay? 630 years to our first meeting. We did the second meeting about a month ago, and we'll do another one in July. But there's absolutely no reason why people in Krakow can't go back to their high schools or their gymnasium or their podstawówki and say, we want to do an event, because it's a personal responsibility. The way we can be different in Krakow is you don't wait for other people to fix your problems, you fix them yourself. If everyone in this room went back to their school and said, let's do something about entrepreneurship, some of them would say yes, and that would make a difference. Change the culture in companies. When I did the first Światowy Tydzień Przedsiębiorczości project in Krakow in 2008, 6 companies agreed. I approached many companies saying, will you host a school visit? Will you get your women managers or your finance directors or your marketing people to do a workshop with the kids? And 6 companies said yes. 1 company from France, 2 companies from America, 1 from the UK, 1 from Zimbabwe, and 1 Polish company, only 1 Polish company was ready to actually do something to support entrepreneurship. So if you work for a company, make a personal commitment to persuade your company to do something to support entrepreneurship. The high-cost thing is to host a visit, but there's Federacja Młodzieżowej Przedsiębiorczości, the Polish arm of junior achievement, has every year the Otwarte Firma project, and you can volunteer. You can say, we will host school visits. There are more schools in Poland that want to visit companies than there are companies that can be bothered to open up to schools. So that's something you can fix personally. Go to your managing director and say, what the fuck? Why are we not doing this? Why are the majority of companies in Krakow that support entrepreneurs foreign, not Polish? It's a pretty bad situation. Okay, number 4, grow the community. How many people here were at the X-Massive party in December? Okay, so Dermot, can you explain what the X-Massive party was? Okay, that'll do. Thank you. This was basically, I had the idea that we should try and spread the startup community. The majority of people in the startup community in Krakow are engineers, programmers, they're lawyers, or they're economists. And every department of the university, it doesn't matter if you're a geographer, you have geolocation apps. If you're a musician, there's plenty of room for entrepreneurship among musicians. I went to a Szkoła Muzyczna where my daughter was and said to the director, we can do a workshop about enterprise. And she said, what's the point? And I said, well, think about it. If you're a really talented pianist and you want people to listen to you, you might be well advised to know how to promote your music. And so basically they totally rejected the idea, but at the level of students, we can certainly, with the X-Massive party, we made a specific effort to invite people from different departments, so there were a lot of psychologists came, so we can do something to get people into our community from geography, art, teachers, medicine. Think about it. If you're a medical student, you might know what the problems are in a hospital. So if you can get together with an engineer who can code an app to solve the problem, we can probably create some value. Innovation on the edge. A lot of events are about a speaker being wise and the audience listening to the wise guys. The real intelligence is in the community, and the way the open coffee events work is all about getting the people who show up to contribute. So we can make that a feature of Krakow. Entrepreneurship, not startups. Startups are a subset of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, I made my money that I invest in startups, in old-fashioned businesses. We automate factories, we translate technical documentation, we automate warehouses, we do ticketing systems for ski passes. It's old school business. Entrepreneurship is what matters. If people are entrepreneurs and they create wealth, they make money, they pay salaries, they pay taxes, that's good for Krakow. Let's promote entrepreneurship, broadband, and then, of course, within that entrepreneurship space, a subset of the space will be the startup community. If we want Krakow to be a dynamic startup city, we need to be a pro-entrepreneurship city. The soft linkages I've mentioned already, they're okay, but they could be better. And this is something that I'll be talking to the Urząd Marszałkowski about. They've been very good at promoting Global Entrepreneurship Week across the whole of Małopolska. We should be writing to every bank in Krakow, every law firm, saying, what are you doing to promote startups and entrepreneurship, and who is your contact person, and publishing a list, because that'll be quite a nice list, because there will be Deutsche Bank, blank space. There will be PKO, blank space. Probably 3 out of 10 banks in Krakow have no one who's responsible for supporting entrepreneurship and startups. And let's shine the light on them. Curriculum for events. There are a lot of events in Krakow, and that's great, and it's much better than it was. But we don't have, if you think of an MBA program, MBAs, okay, what are the components of an MBA? Everyone knows what an MBA is. What sort of things do you learn? Yeah? Just give me a topic within an MBA program. Can you say it louder? How to pitch. Okay, what else? Okay, accountancy, finance. Okay, what else do you get in an MBA? Management. What else? Marketing. Yeah, what else? Sales. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm saying, the curriculum, we need an overarching curriculum so that when someone is going to a crack spot or a hive or a startup stage or a open coffee, it doesn't work, but a Google for Entrepreneurs event, this is part of the human resources issue. This is about recruitment. This is about marketing. This is about financial accounting, because there's a lot of good content out there, but startups tend to be really bad at management. When I started my first business, I was learning by doing, and that's expensive. It's very expensive and it's a waste. So we need to develop a curriculum under which all the startup events happen. Personal responsibility. Okay. Now's a moment of truth. Do you agree with what I've been saying? Okay? Czy co ja mówię ma sens? Do you agree with me? I see something. Can you... Thank you. There's a really bad moment when you say, do you agree with me? Total silence. Okay. Can you put your hand up if you agree with me? Okay. So the people who've... okay. Now keep your hands up. Okay? Please keep them up. If you agree with me, are you ready to do something to change the situation in Krakow, personally? That really sucks. Okay. Well, thank you to the people who kept your hands up. What I want you to do is to think about what you can do. You know, I'm a foreigner here. I'm a really busy guy. But sometimes there are people like Piotr Willem who set up Innovation Nest. There's Piotr Niedźwiecki and Ella Madej who did the Hive events. There's Dermot who did the Tech Saturdays in Wrocław. There's Paul Klipp who did the first TEDx Cracow. There are people like Bart who take the startup community skiing, that's him, or snowboarding. Like, it's much more important to not wait for Krakow to get to be a better place. You know, there's this kind of feeling, if you want to change something, you have to do it yourself. But if the majority of people in Krakow do 1 or 2 things themselves, then that will be great for everyone. And, you know, the final thing is, I don't think we should be complacent. You know, yeah, it's better than it was, but we're not going to solve the lack of capital issue, but we can solve these issues. These are things that we can do. So I think that if we want to take Krakow to the next level, we make Krakow different. We make it a city where we really support entrepreneurs, broadband, and the people in our community are all working together to make it a better place. Don't leave it up to a few guys, like Raffle here, for example. There are a few guys who are actually doing stuff, but the majority of people who show up to events are not doing that much, and I think we need to change that. So we shouldn't be complacent. And, it's great to say we're awesome, game-changing, disruptive, and scalable. Okay, these are nice buzzwords, but what really matters is not the way it looks, it's what we actually do. So that's me. I'm finished. And if there are questions, I'll take questions. If there aren't questions, I can just show some examples of particular projects that I think you could scale up. Are there any questions at all? Okay, so let me, if I can make this work. Oh, these are internal. This is interesting. This is private. Luckily, I'm not watching online porn, so there's no highly embarrassing stuff there. But I'm not sure. This. Okay, this is an example of a project I did with the Kuratomy Oświatowy, and this was to promote entrepreneurship in schools. We got school kids to go out and interview entrepreneurs who'd been to their high schools, okay? And interestingly, way down here, there's a guy who is quite famous now in Krakow. He was famous back then. But here we go. A busy guy like Kubaksik finds the time. So I've lost, this is the two screens problem. Here we go. So, Kuba finds the time to be interviewed, okay? I think it's really interesting. The guys who achieve things, the guys who get things done, do find the time to sit down with school kids and promote it. Like, think about it. What could be better? On the one hand, you have school kids learning about project-based learning, and you have them learning about, how to arrange an interview, go see people write it up. On the other hand, you have the entrepreneurs who went to that school being boosted up. Like, if you become a professor at AGH, or if you become a politician, or if you become a musician, the school will put you on their website. How many schools are celebrating the entrepreneurs who went to their school? So that's one example. And the other, I think, is the Krakowski Park Technologiczny. This was called Polish Youth. 2 minutes. I don't know if you realize what goes on in this city, but here we go. So this was a project, this was way back, okay? But the point is that, this was a YouTube competition. So we said that in order to bring down the cost of pitching training, we said to the school kids, just make a pitch, put it on YouTube. The judges were all over Poland, including, again, foreigners who got together to do this. And, what happened was that we got, if this is still live, we got things like this. Just from like a 16-year-old kid or a 15-year-old kid. Is it going to work? I don't know. Maybe we're not going to see this, I'm afraid. Okay, so it's down. The point is you can do things. It's just a question of taking the initiative. And I think that's what we should be doing. Okay, so if there are no questions, I'd just say, please take personal responsibility for fixing this. If we all do a bit, it'll be a lot better than if a few people do a lot. And if anyone wants to work on any entrepreneurship project, startup support project, my email address is really easy. It's richard.lucas@richardlucas.com, which is easy. Okay, so thank you very much. I'm done.